Hi, everybody, and welcome to the second edition of 𝗦𝗫𝗄 𝗏. So we all had a good Easter?
Yeah, very good. Very good. Nice.
Too much chocolate, but great.
Yeah, I had one Easter egg, and I've eaten it now, and I'm glad. It's gone. I can forget about it now. So yeah, back to reality.
Mine have gone in the cupboards.
Lucky you want, you good. But at least we got a bit of decent weather as well. I was out filming this morning, so yeah, good. So I want to jump straight in. So do you watch The Apprentice, any of you?
I used to. I haven't for a long time, to be fair.
It's car crash telly, isn't it? I mean, back in the old days, it was on BBC Two, and you know the language was a bit strong, and everything was a little bit like Alan Sugar, not Lord Sugar. I just think the quality of the people on there have just got worse and worse and worse. And it's cringeworthy now. You know, I watch it. Oh, don't do that, and you listen to things and think they just big themselves up, and most of them are just not very bright. But something I thought was really, really good the other day, I watched an episode. So if you watch The Apprentice, it's the episode where they do the shopping channel. It's a shopping channel one. So they pick 3 items each. Yeah, I know. Pick 3 items each team, and then they've got to try and sell it. So one of the teams had a shoe heater, and it's kind of designed that you go outside, you get your shoes wet, you bring them back in, you put them on the heater, and it kind of dries it. So they're trying to sell this, and they sell 3. And it wasn't very expensive. I think it might have been, let's say, 40 quid. And they probably dropped it to a tenner 30 seconds in because they weren't getting any bites. Anyway, when he went to the boardroom, Alan Sugar said, or Lord Sugar said, he said, every time that's on there, they sell 300 units. And I thought that is just an absolute perfect example of you could have the best marketing, the best videos, the best photography, the best exposure, but if the person dealing with the inquiry is incompetent, it doesn't matter how good you look. I know it's slightly different because people are ringing in to buy, but I'm talking about presentation. You know, you when you're presenting on a viewing, whether it be, you know, talking to someone that makes an inquiry or doing the viewing yourself, you effectively, you know, you're presenting a house, aren't you? You go to a viewing, you're presenting that house to the buyer on why they could live there and why they should live there. So, you know, people say to me something, oh, just put it on Rightmove. So yeah, but that's fine. You could argument that at the end of the day, you know, there is a strong argument that Rightmove does a lot, but it only works if the person answering the phone is competent. And I think that was a really, really good point.
I think it's interesting that actually. So there's something that I seen a couple of years ago. Actually, one of the previous independent that I worked for was really, really good independent. There was a saying that they had. That's a saying. It was sort of a story about a certain picture, for example. You know, an unbelievable painting. You could pop it on Facebook, you know, and get a couple of quid for it, or you could take it to one of the best auction houses that deals with that specific type of picture and get hundreds of thousands. You know, it's because it's the people knowing the importance of what that property is or what that thing that you're selling, how important it actually is, and who the right buyer is.
Yeah, that's right. And I think, you know, luxury buyers or premium buyers tend to resonate towards luxury agents. You know, I say to people when I go out to see them, and I think we've all been where you go out to a property on the market and it's obviously, you know, 1 million, 2 million, and that agent's got 100 listings and they've got 1 at 2 million, everything else is sub 600. And I say to them, effectively, you've got and I'm not going to be disrespectful to Ford, but it's like a Ford dealership, and in the corner's your Porsche. And they're banging away selling these Fords, and they're very good at it, and they turn them over quickly, and they get loads of viewings, blah, blah, blah. But that Porsche in the corner, they might get 1 inquiry, and they're like, oh, I don't mean enough about it. I'm not going to bother about that. We'll move on to the other stuff. And, you know, laughing and joking about an agency that's created a luxury division. I mean, the phone is literally in the same office and the same people are answering it. I think you mentioned to me, Paula, we were talking about it, you know, they've just changed the colour. Just because you've done a different board and a different colour, it doesn't make you luxury.
There's so many arms, I think, to this particular conversation, and it draws me to the analogy of the bottle of water, you know, where you can buy a bottle of water in the corner shop for £1, or you can go to the airport and you can pay £3.50, or you can go on board an aircraft where it's £5.50. And it's placing the product in the correct place to maximise its potential value.
I think circling back to what you said there as well, Karl, about like the position. And if it's you can have, like I said, the agent who's got one really, really expensive property and lots of lower properties. What's important in there as well is the fee that, for example, the fee that they're charging. So if they're charging a similar fee for a £1 million house as they are for a 200,000, 150,000 house, they can sell 150,000 10 times over, and they'll just concentrate on that. Yeah. Whereas, so the higher end property actually sort of, you'd think that they'd love it and it'd be the one that they want to sell the most, but it's actually one that they want to sell the least.
You know what's really interesting? We got a message on Instagram yesterday, and Dawn sent it over to me. It's an EXP agent, and I'm not going to mention his name, but he's very good in the south of England. And he said, I've been following on Instagram. I see what you do. My sweet spot is 500 to 900, and I've got this house at 2.5 million. And you know, can I send you some pictures and you can tell me what you think? Send me some pictures. Cracking house, really modern, funky house. He's done some twilights as well, and they look really good. And he said, you know, what else I need to do? And I said, well, do you do do a brochure? Are you doing premium listing? Yeah, I'm doing a premium listing. And I think what in his head he was getting mixed up with was, but it's a £2.5 million house. I'm like, yeah, but the person's still human. You know, they're no different because they've got an expensive house. Don't get too wrapped up in it. Yeah, they would want a level of service, but don't beat yourself up. And I think that's where a lot of people don't want to answer that phone, because they don't want to deal with that person, because they don't mind if it's a 2-bed terrace at 150 grand that, as you say, they sell 10 a week, and you know, you get 20 viewings on, and if you don't deal with them, great, it doesn't matter because one of the buyers will buy it. But when you get to that price, they get scared by it. Well,
yeah, it's like you said at the start there as well, though, where you said about who you can have all the markets in the world, but it's very important about who is answering that phone. And I think if we go on a lot about personal estate agents are much more proactive, you know, to a completely different level. So the proactivity is one massive selling point, is that your agent, if it's like ourselves, going to be very proactive in trying to find a buyer before the house even hits Rightmove and Zoopla. That's the last resort, really. But it's also a case of being available to be reactive. So when those leads do come in, that you are reactive to it, and it's not just sat there in the email. If we see it ping, it's straight on it, on you.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but you know, I always say to people about my WhatsApp, I just say, if I'm awake, I'll answer it.
Yeah.
You know, I did a really good viewing yesterday on a house in Longridge that had been on the market with a couple of other agents for ages. Had a bit of, actually 4 other agents, had a bit of a disaster. Anyway, you came with me on the photo shoot, Paul. We've had it a couple of weeks. This is now the 3rd viewing. He texted me last night at 25 to 11, load of questions. They don't bother coming back to me tonight. I acknowledged them. I couldn't answer all of them because a lot of them were irrelevant to the viewing. They're about other things. I've spoken to him 3 or 4 times today, and he's going back again on Friday for a second viewing. But yeah, that may have been picked up the following day by an agent if they'd emailed in, and they might have gone, "Oh, I didn't deal with that. That's not for me. That's for someone else," and he gets diluted, and people lose the sort of interest in it. Simon Gates actually put I'm just digressing now, but I don't know if I mentioned this. Simon Gates put a post on a while ago that something like 30 or 40% of Rightmove leads just get ignored. I mean, that's just,
and they do.
I can't even resonate with that. I mean, why would you? I mean, we all know the cost of Rightmove, you know, and you think, why would you do that? Why would you not bother dealing with them? Just,
I think they said something like 80% of leads being coming in and out of hours as well. So they literally come in. It's crazy about the leads. I mean, so far, I mean, obviously, I went with the EXP Live from January. I've not done a viewing inside office hours. They've all been 6 o'clock, you know, viewings, things like that. And then properties have been ones that have been on the market for long periods of time with other agents, and now they're sold. So it's, you know, it does make a massive difference.
And that's the difference with personal estate agency.
Oh, excuse me. That's mad. I didn't realise that. So what, weekends and evenings at the moment?
Yeah, evenings, weekends, Sundays, literally whenever. So whenever suits the seller and the buyer. I mean, ultimately, I shouldn't really come into it. I think the agent shouldn't really come into it in the sense of when are you available. It should be, but when's the buyer available, when's the seller available, and I'll make my time around you, really.
Yeah. Well, you did a viewing on Easter Sunday, didn't you, Paula?
I did. I did a viewing on Easter Sunday.
I did a viewing and a valuation on Good Friday, because that's all they could do it.
And I think that's what you do. And I've got a valuation on Saturday at 8 a.m. And he's very clearly told me I've got a 30-minute window, and then he's got to go at 8:30. So actually, I'll be there for 10 to 8, so that we can literally start talking at 8 o'clock. And you do what's needed, because that's personal estate agency. It's the whole point of it. It's personal to the client.
Yeah, That is the business. But yeah, I thought that thing about. So I've drafted this letter, so I'll share it with you. I think it's a really good bit of marketing. So I've had a good couple of weeks. Been really busy, got a lot happening. I'm looking forward to launching these luxury apartments I've got in Formby. We've been getting the photographs done, etc., etc. Got a couple of things off market that I've been toying with and managed to sell one of them very quickly, which was nice. It was a quite expensive one. So I think the market's okay. Somebody said to me this morning on a WhatsApp, the guy lives in Saudi, and he was like, how's the market? Has it been affected by the Iran war? I mean, don't get me wrong, I filled my car up this morning near the heart attack, but apart from that, I'm just not seeing any downtime. Are you guys, anybody saying to you, oh, the Middle East, blah, blah, blah? I'm not seeing it.
Well, to be fair, no. I mean, I say no. Obviously, I think what's important is it's very property specific, and it's knowing the market. I mean, fortunately, we've been around. We've been in the game for a long time, and we've been through pre-COVID, post-COVID, and loads of different types of markets. So, they are very different. But I spoke to a lady actually that's come on the market in a couple of weeks, a cottage up in just near Southport ways, and she said I'm a bit worried about the market. It's a little bungalow cottage. She said, I'm a bit worried about the market. Is it going to affect it? I said, well, more than likely the buyer on this property is going to be someone downsizing or buying a bungalow or something like that. May potentially be cash. So mortgage rates aren't going to affect them. So don't worry too much about that. It's just knowing who the buyer might be and how it will or will not affect them.
Yeah. I wonder if anybody's ever upgraded to a semi-detached bungalow. There's a thought.
Probably, yeah.
It always feels like it's a downsizer to me.
It does feel like that, doesn't it? That's what I mean. You look at it, you do. I mean, over the years, it's tended to be more people downsizing into like a nice, what you call forever home sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, bungalows generally are downsizing, aren't they? It's for either a lifestyle need or a want, isn't it?
Yeah, just one level. Can't use the stairs anymore, or just future-proof things. I say to a lot of people. I think that's an interesting point as well. Is the amount of houses that I go out to now that have got effectively one downstairs bedroom, and I think that as I say to a lot of people, there's various reasons. The older population's living longer. Inheritance tax issues, the cost of care homes. It makes sense to sort of bring that dependent relative in. I mean, that's a very European thing. If you go, having lived in Spain and France and Portugal, the relatives, they move into your house and then you sort of take over the house and it gets passed down to someone else and it stays in the family for generations. That's kind of how it works. But it's on the understanding that you look after the parents and the grandparents. That's kind of how it works. So I can see that.
It's not very British, that, to be honest, is it? It is something that we're seeing evolve more and more.
Yeah.
But it's very much not been the way that we've operated in the UK.
We do see more people now looking for things with annexes and stuff like that, don't we? Because it's a case the kids are older and they're not moving out or they can't afford to, or they're moving back.
I mean, where you've just been today, Karl, I think is a classic, isn't it, in terms of having an annex?
Yeah, I mean, the amount of houses that I've been to that, the poor marketing. I mean, I'm just about to, as I spoke to you on the phone earlier on, Paul, I'm just about to agree a sale of a property that you came out to me. It's been on the market with 4 other agents for the last 3 years, on and off, on and off. It's not really been off much. And the last agent had it was advertised as an 8-bedroom property. I mean, that just, to me, if I saw someone write me 8 bedrooms, I would firstly think, am I going to fill it? What's it going to cost me to run it? And do I need 8 bedrooms? So I said to him, look, what would effectively it had a 2-bedroom cottage, so it was 6 bedrooms and a 2-bed cottage. And when I did the video, I specifically said to the owner, I'm going to say, because the top floor has 4 bedrooms and 2 en suites and 2 bedrooms that realistically you've got to go downstairs to the first floor because it's 3-story to use the bathroom, it's kind of like not convenient. I said, ideally, it would make more sense to have those 2 bedrooms that aren't particularly that big as dressing rooms. And then you've got 2 bedrooms upstairs that are ensuite with dressing room and 2 bedrooms on the first floor the same. And then downstairs there's like 3 or 4 reception rooms. It's not like you need a bedroom for an office or something. It's got a gym, it's got a cinema room. And I said, that you really got to understand how to make this house work. And I got an inquiry off Instagram, and she said, when we did the viewing, that really resonated with me. I realised that, I saw this on the market before with the previous agent and thought, got 8 bedrooms. And when I realised what you've said, you've made me realise that it's not really 6 bedrooms. It's a better way of using it to make it 4 bedrooms. You know, we tried to sale up last night. So, you know, I think it's just about, goes back to marketing, being creative, being sensible, putting the time in, putting the effort in, and getting it out there, making it look good, which I know we all do.
It's understanding what buyers are looking for, as opposed to literally doing, right, how many rooms have a bed in? There's 8 rooms on that estate that have beds in, so we'll call it an 8-bedroom. Whoever is going to look at an 8-bedroom house on Rightmove, you're not interested. There's very, very few people looking for an 8-bedroom property. However, in the format that you've just explained, much more desirable.
I think the other thing as well is, if you imagine that you go onto Rightmove and you use the filters. I mean, I don't know, because I've not really ever bought a house on Rightmove. So I bought off new build off developers because I've always had new houses, but that's just me. But if you went onto Rightmove and said, well, I've got £1 million to spend and I'm going to put between 900 and 1 million or 900 and 1.1, and I want 4 or 5 bedrooms, you would never see that house because it's up at 8 bedrooms.
Yeah.
So it's bad marketing. And
I think
people realise that as well.
Say again.
You need to understand how to market.
But they don't, do they? Because they don't know enough. And I mean, we will come on to it on another podcast about bandings, but I need to make sure I'm really calm that day, because it's definitely one of my massive bugbears, as you all know.
I am with you on that one, Carl. Very much so.
I saw something the other day, reduced to offers in excess of 999,999. I'm just like, what's that even mean?
Yeah, it works with £1.99, doesn't it? But it doesn't work with £1 million property.
What does that mean? You know, how can it be offers in excess of? Why don't you just put it at 1 million? It's just. Is it inexperience? Is it? I don't know what it is.
It's certainly a lack of knowledge, and it's also a lack of a willingness to learn and to embrace new information and to utilise it for the best of your business.
Do you know, I think a lot of it as well, and I mean, I could be right, I could be wrong, but I think a lot of it is how much you enjoy what you do. I think that really, really plays into it. So I think if you're looking at a property like you have there, Karl, and it's a case of, right, what's the best way to showcase this? And we come back to marketing again and how you can utilize video to tell a story about the home and show what living in it actually looks like. So that, rather than just 8 bedrooms that you're interested, it's, well, it's got these bedrooms, these can be utilized for this, so these can be, you're actually talking to the camera as well about it. Then buyers go, oh, I didn't think that, actually, you know, I could do that with it. And it's just being knowledgeable with it, but also enjoying what you do and actually really showcasing it and wanting to get the result from it.
It's interesting because I don't do boot camps. I don't do a lot of stuff, but I did do one a couple of years ago because a good friend of mine who's got another estate agency in West Wales said, come and do this 𝗵𝗵 boot camp, 2 days down in Heathrow. Super intense. And it was a guy called 𝗕 Guest. And he's not a particular estate agent, Perry is, but he has done boot camps for major companies. And he said, at the end of the day, the public needs to be led. They want help. They want advice. You know, you mentioned to me on the phone the other day, Paul, about that one that we're going to see next week, about they've not moved for like 30 years. Everything's changed. You know, a lot of people I go and see, you know, the last time they moved, we didn't have the internet. Yes. You know, they don't understand the way things work now. And I suppose sometimes, I wouldn't say we get blasé, but because we do it every day, we expect everybody else to understand it. But it doesn't work that way. And sometimes you've got to take a step back and make people realise that there's a lot of changes that have gone on that will benefit them, but they need to understand it and embrace it. But, you know, that particular house, I've got to be honest, I also put it up 15 grand as well, because it was a really stupid price. It just made no sense. And I wanted it on the bandings. I thought, I'm not having a house that's not on the bandings. So I've got to put it up. And somebody said to me, oh, you put that up. I said, yeah, but it's an asking price. It's not a sale price. It's just so it gets the owner more interest. Obviously works, doesn't it?
I think we've led nicely into the next podcast for certain. We do need to discuss bandings.
We'll get onto that. Yeah, my 2 are going to be bandings and listers. No, 3 bandings, listers, and viewing agents. I think that's a podcast each. That's a trio. That is definitely. Definitely.
We'll go for bandings next then. Okay.
I think yeah, good. So anything else happening with you guys this week? You got much going? You got valuation on Friday. You got photo shot on Friday, haven't you, Paula?
Yeah, so interesting where you were just touching on, Jake, then when you were saying about, enjoying your job and knowing how to put it across. So, yes, so I've got filming on Friday, but I've been very clear on providing a brief of exactly what I want. So I've got a vision of how I want this property to be presented, and I've given a brief to the photography company of exactly what I want, how I want it put across. I've chosen the music, so I'm hoping this is going to appear exactly how I'm wanting it to be put across to the clients. And it's important that you do that because the vision is mine of how I want it to come across.
No,
completely agree. And I think me and Karl touched base on this the other day, actually. So obviously I'm very, very on top of it when it comes to like doing filming for properties and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's something that I really enjoy, really get involved with it. I want the angles from here. I want this sort of speed of the transitions. I want I try and make it match the property type. So really old building. I don't want really fast modern transitions. I want it to be nice, smooth, slow.
Yeah, so it syncs with the property itself.
100%, yeah, and I think briefs are massively important on that. So, touching on the briefs thing, Paula. So I've got a document which I send to sellers as well ahead of time. So when they're instructed, right, we're going to market, photos are booked in. This is the next step. So this is how we're going to present it. This is what I'm going to do while we're there, and the angles that I want. So if you move these things out the way, and blah blah blah. And it means that when we go this, the shoots, because they're not cheap. We know this. Marketing's a very big expense on our part. And we if we have to go back, it costs again. So we obviously want to make sure we do it right, but it means that it comes out exactly how we want it, and the client wants it as well.
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, Carl, just saying I'm preparing the client with a brief prior. I know that's something we do as well, Carl, isn't it?
Yeah.
And clients are very receptive of it.
I think they feel like you're not just going to do a video. You do see a lot of high-end agents, and I watch their videos, and it literally is just a video, nothing else. And I really do like your videos, Jake. I know I keep saying that, but they are good. I mean, that one you've just done, you've got to be honest. How many takes did you do on that architect's name?
Do you know what?
There's no way you could, unless someone's got one of those boards that, like that film many years ago. There's no way you'd have got that. It was too slick. Unless, of course, you've got Italian heritage. I think
Scouse goes with, even though I'm not Scouse technically, I've got the accents, but it goes with Italian, doesn't it? But no, it's, what, I've said the actual architect's name previously, so I did say that first time, but there's a blooper reel which we mentioned this morning. So yeah, I'm not one take Jake. I'll be honest. There is some times when I have to do a few takes.
Let's get a T-shirt for that. One take, Jake. Love it.
Yeah,
love it.
Not perfect every time, but yeah, it does make a massive difference. And funny enough, one of the shoots that I did recently, I sent it over to them to say, what you thought? Are you happy with it? Is there anything you want me to change? And they just put back saying, we need to get your autograph on this, Jake.
Brilliant. Are you doing reels? What do you think about reels? Are you doing reels? Because I know that we've sort of I won't say messed around with. We've played with reels. We've not played with reels. And I know that some agents get a lot out of reels, and I'm sort of looking at them again because look, we're all still learning. We all want the best for our owners. I think we all want to know what we can do. But I mean, you did touch on it. It's super expensive, but I think if your main cinematic video you do is specifically for the portals and your YouTube channel, but obviously the reels are more for social media. Do you do them? Do you find that you get a lot of interaction?
Yeah, I mean, so I'll do a coming soon reel prior to it launching, and that gets interesting. To be honest, I've had messages for things before they've gone live, and I've said, it's going live this weekend, but we can try and get you in for a view before it goes live, and we have done that. So they do get interest on them. The main cinematic sort of film. That I convert and flip and then put that into social, so you can sort of watch it, turn your phone around and watch it on there. Reels wise, there's a lot of evidence out there that says that reels get more interesting than anyone, because anything else could people just flick through them. But having said that, out of all of my posts, I'm just looking on my Instagram now actually. So in the since January up until literally yesterday, the majority of my views didn't come from reels. Reels actually was the lowest at 30%, and everything else was above, so it's quite interesting, to be fair.
Do you have captions on your reels?
Yeah.
See, I think that's really important. was looking at it the other day. I was thinking, I tend to, we watched Avatar the other day. The third one, I think, was 19 hours long, and I'm halfway through it. Again, pick my phone up and you have a look, don't you? Because that's what you do. And I watched the video with their captions, and you get more engaging, don't you? You don't have to listen to it; you can watch it. And it's funny because I remember I don't know if you've ever seen a series on telly called 𝗲𝗏 𝗏. And it's obviously. Say again.
I do remember that, yeah.
Yeah, but it's all in subtitles.
Yeah.
And I think the thing about it is you're more engaged because you have to focus. You can't listen to it unless you speak fluent German. But if you sit there and watch it and read the subtitles, you read it to yourself in your head. So you're more engaging, and that's what they say about reels. If your reels are like, someone's on a train or a tube or a taxi or whatever, and they're watching the reel, but the sound's down, watching reading the caption, they're more likely to stay on to the end than just watching, I can't be bothered, and flip to something else. So,
yeah, some of them, to be fair though, I have seen some being posted by other agents. Obviously, I won't mention, and it's not ill on them. It's just something that I've noticed. And some of the reels they'll do lots of writing on it, but the reel will skip really quick. So you won't have a chance to actually read it. So you've got to go back a few times. Now I thought that might be a way of getting more views. If they're just doing it just so it looks like it's got more views on it. So I don't know. I'll have to check on that one. But yeah, I definitely couldn't read it in time. And it was just a picture of the front of the property and loads of information about the house. I thought it might be better on a few slides, with the information or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes I think it's trial and error, isn't it? I suppose. I mean, I'm not one of these kids who absolutely smash it, on social media and stuff, but it's doing okay.
I think
I'll tell you what I've noticed and it was another EXP agent, and they do the captions, but they don't do every word. They just do the key words about the property.
Okay.
So actually I stay engaged because I'm reading the key aspects of the property while listening to the voice in the background, and that's captured my interest.
Well, that's clever, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
I suppose it depends how long the video is, doesn't it, really?
Yes.
If it is a 30-second reel or whatever, then you may read it all. I mean, 30 seconds just seems a long time anyway, doesn't it? It's weird, isn't it? I don't know, 30 seconds, 30 seconds, ages. What's the average advert on TV? 12 seconds, 15 seconds? You get an advert at Christmas, John Lewis, 20 seconds, you're like, oh, just move on. So, you really need to be in a situation where you probably want just it to be as short as possible.
Absolutely.
Good. Well, thank you for your time. Good to see you both. We'll be talking about bandings next week. So prepare yourself, everybody.
It's going to be a long one.
Take care.
See you soon. Bye.